Welcome, welcome, Possibility Coaching Bridge House team, to this call that is, in a way, a celebration of that 1 year ago, just over 1 year ago, uh, all of us except Leonard converged at the beginning of the Bridge House in Czechia, and shortly after, Leonard also became part of the team, kind of slowly but surely. And I wanted this space to exist so that we could share, so that we could be together, so that we could notice together what the consequences of being at this bridge house have created in our lives, and have also created in other people's lives. And I want to begin or start over by sharing about where we each are today. Anyone can go first.
I already started, so I
Yes,
keep
go
going.
ahead, because I want to know where you are, Leonhard and Gabriela.
We're here in Wagner de Bigorre. That's the place in front of the mountains, the Pyrenees here in France. And we have this project which is called Archiarchy Bridge House. It's like archiarchy, but with a T inside because it's related to art. This place is full of artists here, and we source also the prime principle of creation here in this place, amongst other bright principles. And it's a different project than the one we had together in Czech Republic. Different and also very nourishing. And first time I'm part of the core team since the beginning, since I was growing in your team, as you already mentioned, and now I was there since the first call in the first call how to set up this project. And yeah, that's where I am. It's the short version. And there's much more to tell, and I want to hear also you guys, and I want to hear your version of it.
I would love you to share a little bit of your liquid state, because somehow you are putting again this fake joy, and it's, I know that it's not where you are. So I'm wondering, like, to invite you to bring where you are full on to this space.
The joy that I feel right now is not completely fake. I feel joy to see you, and I have a tendency to increase it a little bit, to make it more dramatic and be even more, to make it bigger. And at the moment finally started the Gremlin Transformation Zero chapter that you so warmly put to my heart, Christina. And I hit a deep liquid state in the way what is really authentic about myself, and where do I adapt myself from outer circumstances.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leonhard.
I'm speaking also from the same place, as you can see, from south of France, in this bridge house. That is a short-term bridge house, 1 month. And I'm came to here with the intention of not being in a bridge house. I was wanting to be with possibilitators living together. And before, I was noticing this fear of having to create codex and all the logistic part of a bridge house, name it as bridge house. And now that the project is rolling, that is the part of happening, I'm feeling so nourished by the creation here. So every day there's something happening. And this weekend I experiment play fight in the mud. I hold space for a play fight at the mud. And it was for me initiation to be so dirty. It was a place that was wet, and we were all allowing to go through that years of being dirty and be there. And it was initiation because it was this expansion of these voices of it's bad to be dirty, and I felt so connected with nature, and all this experimentation with walking in the nature and creating together and relaxing, it's helping me to discover more about integration. Because after I was in 2 labs in Poland, the Heal from School and the Possibilitator Skills lab, and I noticed this thing that after labs I get in a pressure mode of using the energy that I had access. And I'm experimenting here in this bridge house how is to be with instead doing it. And it's so different to create from that place because it's more nourishing than giving energy out. And I can connect more with people. I can hold space from vulnerability from where I am. And this shift, the possibility of being nourished by the intimacy that is created when I'm holding space for an emotional healing process or for a rage club or for a conversation or whatever. So not working. So I'm experiencing what is this thing of not working? I'm retired. I'm not working. Yeah, how I am here. And I have the intention to create a bridge house in Brazil next year. And I'm researching what would be the topic or the research, but I love to live with people, to be with co-creating together something in a place. This is also a possibility that I would like to explore in this space today about how we come to create a bridge house. And because I came to this project of the possibility coaching quite after the process of cooking and of being pregnant. So it was already was borning the baby when I come to be part of this team. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela.
Thank you.
Do you want to hear the right version for burning?
If I want to hear the right version.
Okay, Beep. I think there is a word for what you explained with your burning world.
You mean the way I spell, the way I spoke?
Yes, because you said burn, to burn a child, to born a child. And what I know in English is give a birth. So you gave a birth to a child.
Okay, so I came when the child was already gave birth. Yeah. I don't know. My English is in progress.
Great.
You're in France at the moment, so I think you're practicing French. No, okay.
So I go next, or is there something you want to add?
No.
I am physically next to the lake in Schloss Glarisek, in Eco Village, Schloss Glarisek. And energetically, I'm kind of moving, like, energy-wise, I'm moving out of space holding, spaces coaching, and giving more energy into a men's group or being with a man. And at the same time, I am a lot of bringing my energy in hand working here in Schloss Glarisek. So I'm creating a workshop with wood and taking care about that, preparing, cleaning up tennis plays, and taking care about the grass here around. And so my shift was kind of moving a lot with hand work, or working with my hands here. And there are just like small things as the Czech man group, where there's another man joining. So we have like this small man circle of evolving, moving, and being in a man's group in the next culture man. So one of these sparks which brings me exploration where I am and what I'm bringing to man. And the small things here, we had one young man, 19 years old, here coming here and holding space for him, holding space so in a frame of community, because he was out of the community and he was coming here, and then how he is here inside of the community. What are the rules? What is the clarity? Bringing clarity, at the same time being in contact with him, of giving him jobs, so he's there, and making deals with him, so if he keeps or not keeps, what are the consequences of being being a space holder for this young man. There are things which are happening.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as you can see, I'm also in Schloss Klarisek, next to Martin in the Eco Village, which is very much in this phase of celebrating the 20th birthday and having different kind of events where I'm also a part of and co-creating. And so I'm focusing more and more and rooting more in the Swiss domain, and get more grounded, and get the moment I'm digesting, but I'm letting loose of different online spaces and letting go. And I'm in a super big liquid state since the Heal from School lab, where I discovered that I was in school mainly when this is school, like as a construct, I was sliding over school and from the purpose what modern society would give it. It's like it's about learning. And I did this, but at the same time I was there mainly because of my friendships, mainly because I wanted to be in contact with my friends. And so everything, like my day was great when I had contact with my friends, and it was not so much about school. And I noticed that after the Heal from School lab, when I discovered that it was fermenting in me, and last week I had a call in the possibility coaching speciality, and Sabine was asking me the question, okay, how was it for you? What came out of the Heal from School lab? And while I was exploring what it does and what it did to me, I noticed that, it fell in like this realization of, oh my gosh, I'm creating game worlds with the purpose of creating friendship, and also other purposes, and that this is a hidden purpose. I was creating game worlds, and so I was first of all like shocked and sad and angry that I did not notice, and I was glad I was then noticing it. And I started to move and do go into the consequences, or how can I say this? Yeah, I'm taking the next step. And so I decided to get out of the possibility coaching specialty, and I handed over to the group, and Clinton took a stand for the specialty now, and I was leaving the group. And I'm already getting into this liquid state of, oh my gosh, I'm losing all my friends, or also moving a bit away from the game world of possibility management. Even I know it's a phase, and at the same time it's so necessary that I create this gap, even it's a bit superficial, no, it's artificial. Like I'm stepping out. A part of me definitely wants to still hold space for the speciality, and I would want to do it differently, and I cannot yet. So I am who I am at the moment, and I would just create the same thing, maybe a bit different, but the purpose would still be in my structure. So what I'm now in is this liquid state, in this gap of disidentifying myself from what is friendship, how am I gluing it together with building game worlds, and how friendship and connection can be separated. Of course, in game worlds, if you're collaborating, friendship is possible, and the bright principle of friendship is emerging out of collaboration spaces. And mine is a hidden purpose, or was a hidden purpose, and I put the poop on the table. And so when I left today the speciality from the the Telegram group, I was starting to get a taste of how much sadness will come up the next weeks, and that I move through a series of EHPs to become someone else who is able to create game worlds from with a purpose from my archetypal lineage or the bright principles, but not anymore to maintain friendship. Yeah. So this is my big liquid state I am in.
Thank you.
Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. What's coming already one question up. So how influenced this neutral, or which neutral results did it create this hidden purpose for the possibility coaching bridge house?
Yeah, before we go there, I would like that Nicole is also
Yes.
checking in, and then I propose then to open the space for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm zooming in today from the Magic Cow Bridge House in upstate New York. And it's been something like 9 days being here. And I'm physically, I'm liquid. I got sick within a couple of days of arriving, and I've been in this kind of two big rivers. I mean, two big rivers of some kind met when with two different dangerous questions that were asked by Devin here. One was, what's happening with you, Nicole, about partnership? And then when I was sharing in another space on another day about what I'm creating, I'm creating a bridge house on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia that will exist after the Magic Cow Bridge House. And when the team was also asking questions about this, it came again, this this resentment that I've been carrying about possibility management. And and it's perfect because I'm already creating the first series that I've ever held space for about dismantling resentment, together with Marina Mello and Christopher Troutman, and so it's a little bit like, oh, I've been preparing to cross this bridge, and the bridge seems so it's just like a couple of pieces of rope with some boards, and I have this heavy load to carry across this big load to carry across a bridge. And I feel glad that I'm here in the bridge house with the team here who've said they're on my team. And again, for me, similar to what happened in our bridge house, the way my box and my gremlin work to convince me that I'm not wanted on the team, that people are changing their mind about me, and it's all my fault and I can't do anything about it. It's already became so activated before I even arrived. And yeah, I'm rolling with it. It's working. I'm doing new experiments, and the team is, I let them know clearly from the start, this is how my gremlin tries to destroy me being part of a bridge house team. Yeah, and it's cool to be eating apples, seeing apple trees here like we did in Czechia, and there are these ways that my joy and sadness, my joy of being part of the Possibility Coaching Bridge House, and my sadness missing each of you, is part of what is bringing this delicious flavor here to this bridge house experience for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Nicole.
Thank you. You're welcome. I propose that, I had this list of questions that I put in our Telegram space about, what the questions that were the fuel for asking for this call. And I'm forgetting what they are right now. And still there's this, it's almost like this, this vortex in me that wants to pull out from each of you more about who you are since we were together in the bridge house, and yeah, the consequences you see around you in others. It's legend. It's almost like, tell me legends that are legends about what becomes possible because a bridge house existed and because you were in the team of a bridge house. And already I see in front of me, I see you, Gabriella, and Leonard together, still asking, like, yeah, Gabriella, you wanted more from Leonard about his authentic here and now, and I love it. And yeah, and again, it puts this whole what's up with you in partnership, Nicole, and this is what's up. I'm terrified of being side by side with someone where there's feedback and coaching and what I want, and whew. So I get to see this in each of the other Zoom windows here. And there's so much more. Someone say something.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm available for a call to talk about that if you want, if you wish, the next week about partnership.
Okay.
Available for that.
Wow. Thank you.
And I want to throw one more question in the pot that I resonate from what you brought. That is also about the next step, because this was the starting point of this call also, that you saw that was like that is happening the project yet in the website. So people enter there and about the how to close also in the website
Great.
the
Thank
project,
you.
or what is the update situation of the project. So also to make it clear that part. And I want to start sharing about legends that in this bridge house I experienced apprenticeship, being apprentice as a doorway to process and as a doorway to heal from the school for me. And it was the like how did I took this role of being apprentice as a discovery space to be with you and my ex on the map, but not making myself inferior. And this was a big learning for me of being on your team in that territory of being as apprentice in that role, but not being inferior. And the intelligence of the group within from that place that we are in the same eye level, and that we are in the same context, we are committed with the same context. And this is one of the things that bring most joy for me about being in the bridge house, even here where I am now, that is this possibility of creating things together because we are in the same soil. So I could learn to create that in the bridge house through the process dinner lunches that we had happening, or the dangerous questions that was happening, or when was something off and we had this session of poop on the table about what is going on with each one. So I could learn a lot about holding space in the practical way in the daily life. And this is still I see the waves of this in my life today, about this skill of negotiating intimacy, mainly negotiating intimacy, and bringing what I want, and creating spaces. So this creation weeks that we had empowered me, for example, to bring that here to that bridge house where I can create spaces and propose new things that I don't know yet, and be in the chaos of the holding space of this unknown. And I could experience that in that project also. And bridging people, I think the experience of having people, the fact that you are receiving people out of the context, I think were 3 or 4 people that we received. It was the couple and one person in the radical relating week. It gave me build a lot of ways of being interacting with people from different places, such as learning distinction of some distinction that is not new, or like I remember there was the first time that this couple was at the house, and they were quite weird, and like how is the rules here, what's happening, and they sat in the table, and I saw you all of us learning distinctions to them about like what's happening to you now, what are you feeling, and then they start to speak, and we could evening what was happening in the small now. And this kind of small skills I learned from that daily life experience that I carried with me nowadays. And and I notice I'm feeling fear about speaking from the memory of it. I'm feeling fear about just repeating things that I already said somehow. or and these are the things that it's bubbling up as the first waves of what I could practice with you in a team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela.
Thank you, Gabriela.
I continue. I'm sitting on hot stones right now, and the more I sit, the more things bubble up. So one thing that comes from me immediately was you weaving me into the space, Nicole, and you had coached me back then in free practice, and you in the bridge house you encouraged me to hold space also for free, and it was such so valuable for me to hold space for free because holding space for free does not take so much. It's in comparison to hold 2 hours group space or something like that. And it confronted me with the fears of now I am this identity of a space holder and to step into it and get familiar with that and the way how you empowered me to use more my anger in holding space, also my fear and these little steps that you gave me while you were in the space with me together and was very empowering to make my first steps into space holding, as well as the Taurus Technology Week was also a lot of about space holding and the way how we organized ourselves helped me a lot. And yeah, what else is there? One huge lesson is I never wrote before really. I had lots of blocks with writing, and when I was being in the bridge house, I said I will make my homepage when I'm in the writing week, and then it happened. I wrote my website from scratch, and then even in addition, we wrote poems together, and I wrote articles that I put on my website. And I noticed lately that I have not wrote any articles since then anymore. Since now, I'm finishing my article at the moment. Basically, it's almost already finished, and I will release it this
What?
week about the distinction of the feelings in the resonance tissues and how I moved from this from the old map of feelings to the new map of feelings, how this empowered me. And I noticed I have so much stories. Oh my God, this writing is so such a huge thing. And then somehow when I was in this bus here to the Pyrenees to the bridge house, I was like, okay, I will just do it as I did it in the bridge house. I will put my hat somewhere in to the shelf and then just start with this distinction of these movies for a movie from Freedom Writer and also with the experiments we did writing from anger and from fear and just with my feelings. And it happened that in 30 minutes I had almost all the article together.
Cool.
And it was so easy. And I was like, oh my God, it was not so difficult to do that. And now I'm in the refinement process doing it. And it's so cool. These kind of little things to experience them. And what else? There was a lot of things going on there. Yeah, well, also a very big step for me was and this makes for me the bridge house so valuable. It's so different from a lab space or a ETP space by just being with you all the time. And I could not, in the daily living together, it's not so dense. And at the same time, I cannot hide myself so much anymore. So, for example, Christine, you pointed out my Kremlin, how I feed my I fed my grandma to nourish the disease back then that I had, and to name one thing, and also to not hide anymore being vulnerable. And it was really a long process, and I'm still in this process of getting more and more vulnerable. And at the moment, I'm in the state where I was in Sunday in the Rage Club introduction, and I cried almost for 2 hours in the whole Rage Club, and I did not hold back. I just kept going and put it all on there. And so cool that it's able now for me to do that. It was for 1 year, it was not possible to even say one little thing and being in the focus of use, and after every lunch we shared what's going on. And yeah, I remember that I made this parent agreement with Martin. We're glad that we did that. Meshed a lot out of this.
Do you reminder what was the part agreement?
The parent agreement was about doing 2 each piece, and one was with Clinton, and the other one was with a very experienced German spaceholder. And then for Clinton it was not possible, and I did it then with Susanne Hutzler and with Markus Borg. 2 each piece then. Yeah, and also huge for me a lot that I was with you and you could constantly hold space for me by sharing what's going on with my underworld. It made also a huge difference. It's some person could be so okay with packing out these things that I've banished so much from my life. Yeah. Yeah, and of course the super legend that I got together with Gabriela is one chapter for itself, and I will not share it now, this legend. So anyone who wants to listen to this legend, feel free to reach out to me. This is another 10 minutes conversation, at least 10 minutes. And I hand over now to you, Martin. I want
one small seed which was planted in me during the bridge house was the times when we were eating, and then after eating we had a sharing, and then mostly you, Gabriela, you're opening your heart. Layer by layer you were doing like this to your heart and showing, okay, this is there, this is where I am. And it has a specific energetical movement associated to it, which is happening then in a space. And I was not sure, I didn't know that before, but what I at the time could sense, like by you opening the heart, I could sense how it in a way works. How is the connection? How is the connection to the heart? And this seed was planted also for me to kind of discover this way inside of me. And this, like, I would say, this strength of someone opening her heart, can be transformed or can be seen or sensed by someone else and be inspiring. And that's my highlight of the bridge house, to experience what is possible and be present in a space when it's happening. So then the experience is partly experience also my experience or experience someone else. So, and I'm passing the word to Christine Derschner right now.
Yeah, this is the legend for Martin also, to I think this is a quality to bring people into the here and now, into the presence. While you were speaking, it was unfolding this a quality of heart quality. I have no other words, and I see. Oh my gosh, like there are so many legends. I think one of the legends, what got more and more clear for me also when I see other bridge houses popping up, is how specific the quality was with the setup we offered for exactly people with no context of possibility management coming into through the membrane and holding the space and to hold this container and to be at the beginning of the bridge. And I realized that this is really my, like, through the process also afterwards in Brazil, I created like a series, 1 week of intensive, and there I found out that this is where I am located. My archetypal lineage is located at the beginning of the bridge, and it is not by accident that that I created this kind of frame where people from the beginning of the bridge were joining in, compared to where you are, Leonhard and Gabriella at the moment, where already, I would say, a bit more advanced possibilitators coming together and co-creating. And also in the Magic Cow Bridge House, it's a similar flavor that possibilitators are collaborating together. And so the legend for me is that this bridge house was at the beginning of the bridge, and that it needs door openings like we arranged it, so that it has an impact, so people can cross the bridge or step into the next move and get the texture, the atmosphere, the context, the felt the felt experience, what else is possible, what does it mean to be radical responsible within a context of living together. And I think the treasure of a bridge house is what you also said, Leonhard, is it's different than a lab because it has not the intensity. At the same time, it has different other levels which are included, where you're living together, and kind of the daily life, the logistics are also part of the training. So they get very visible how you relate with yourself. And I think they're extremely working, how consciously we were observing each other, how we behaved in the space, and use this as fuel and catalyzer, and like so that the fermentation process could happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed, especially the breakfast and a long breakfast, long lunch, and long dinner spaces, which were actually process spaces. And this was really working for me, and I'm missing this. So I would like to have more of these spaces where more people are sitting around the table and don't need to eat and then something else is happening, but there is this space afterwards where something what is at the moment happening is unfolding itself. Yeah, that's for me for now. I want to hear from Nicole, and there are 10 minutes left. from the hour. I don't like, I counted 1 hour.
That's me also.
Me too.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. What stands out to me from here as, for me, one of the most tangible legends was the the just the space of possibility that was open, where for me, as someone who had been using possibility management for 2 years, I already had, my box had rearranged possibility management as a bunch of rules about things I could do and couldn't do. And something about how you held the space, Christina, so often just, it was like free from those rules. And I didn't have to not go into victim. I didn't have to avoid being in child ego state. I didn't have to have control of my gremlin already. There's so many ways where the same message that came to me as a child comes to me again sometimes. And I get that I created this repetition of, now there's all these rules to follow and I can't do it yet, and that's a problem. And in the spaces that, in the process spaces, I had already this experience of you as a space holder, Christina, where that was just out the window. It was like, where you are is where you are. And then I could be where I really, really was, with my underworld, a great big swampy disaster. And then start to come out of my underworld and see my underworld, and become okay with having an underworld, and become okay with not being able to not be in the swamp sometimes, a lot of the time. And I think this speaks to this clarity you have, that you're expressing about being kind of on the one side of the bridge, where modern culture meets the bridge to next culture. And I think this is accurate for me too. This is something that I'm learning, how to be okay with being a person who is like at the entrance to the bridge, rather than a person who is living in archaearchy, is really clear about how it goes, and maybe is coming to meet someone and take them in. And the it was something like, when there was a day that you asked me, what's really going on for you? And I looked at you and I thought, I can tell this woman. I can actually tell her. It's scary, and it's gonna hurt, and she can hold space for that without wanting me to be somewhere else. And yeah, this is, and what you said about being an apprentice, Gabriella, this too was to be invited as a space holder alongside another space holder, and even say that this is not apprenticeship. This is, you're already a space holder. And I think this message is so valuable. You are already a space holder, even though you don't think you are. And thank you, Leonhard, for talking about 333. This is something that's come up again for me in the last few days, is that this stand that I take for more 333 spaces to exist, and it's like you just put a burning log on the fire that had almost gone out in me, about this 333 territory as being, in a way, for me to nourish, for me to build, for me to evolve into more of a clear space on the edge of modern culture, where there's a bridge to next culture. And maybe some people come and they end up living their whole life on this side of the bridge, and maybe some of them get on the bridge and they go to Rage Club and they become Rage Club spaceholders, and it's okay. It's not like how many people get on the bridge is the marker for success about it. Just being where I'm created to be, where my archetypal lineage and I kind of, it is like a sweet spot, and being able to stand more authentically where I am, and then to take next steps towards where I am, where my non-material value really is mostly at work. And it blows my mind that there's so much evidence in this call already about how well that works. This holding space for a culture to culture conversation where I'm not trying to get the other person to be in my culture. I'm just creating possibility for, and my bright principles are at work.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I want to bring a distinction because I noticed at the end you mentioned something else, but for me, being on the beginning of the bridge is where I have my kind of, where's my workbench. This is what I meant. This
Yeah.
is where is my workbench. Me as a being is further down the bridge already.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm working with people, is at the beginning of the bridge. So there's a distinction to make,
Yeah.
and that you check, okay, what, because it's not that you would need to stand in front of the bridge and others are passing. This is also what I had as like, okay, people are overtaking me over the bridge. And I face these fears like, oh, they are overtaking and where I am, and I want to go behind them. But, and then I realized, oh, there's a fear that I would be left behind. And I did an EHP about it, and I noticed afterwards, no, it's where I am is where I want to have impact, where my archetypal lineage wants to work.
Yeah.
It's like, this is more what I meant with, I'm at the beginning of the bridge, but I'm living in a community which is definitely already on the bridge, so just to get clear that there are two different points, or it's not origin points, but reference points.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that lands for me, and it brings me back to something that came in one of the early calls, was that a bridge house is on the bridge, and people come in, and every time they go out, they're a little bit more on the next culture side than they were before.
Yeah, totally. Washing machine, cleansing, polishing, whatever.
Yeah, we're at the end of our call time.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the gold and the nourishment here.
And I'm pretty sure it's not the end of the conversation.
Yes.
Like, I want to hear the highlights about the magic Cowbridge House, and also the Artiarchy, is it right?
Yes.
Artiarchy Bridge House. I want to hear the legends afterwards, and I'm glad I already hear some.
Yes.
And that actually brings a question about clarity about this space, because now it seems you are inviting a space of friendship, talks about that, but the space of Bridge House, which is this call about our possibility coaching Bridge House, which was in Czech Republic, it's now closing. I understand that. For
This
me,
is
it's
what you say. Yeah, this is what you propose.
for me because there was also the question, like the website was open. You wrote that, Gabriela, and it was
Okay,
somehow,
yeah.
or in this call, I heard Gabriela speaking about it, and so there is something unclosed, and therefore it's like seeming for me, seems when finishing it now, the call saying goodbye is something is missing. And I think, Gabriela, I want to ask you, is there something you need? I just have the impulse to ask you.
Yeah, I would say before leaving, what it's decided, like what I see from the project as possibility coaching Bridge House, and this possibility coaching Bridge House in Czech Republic, I see as closed since we closed the Bridge House. So my proposal is that we I don't know. I want to check with you, Nicole. You said that you would update the website.
Yeah.
My proposal is to update in a way that it's informing that this Bridge House is closed, and in a way that anyone that want to create possibility coaching Bridge House can reach out to us to make questions, to know how to create a possibility coaching Bridge House, because I see it as a game word that anyone can take the structure that we experienced and try out new things and go on with it. But this project I see as closed, and also I see as important to make. I propose to make that distinction that the calls that we are making as this team is a friend calls. It's like we are exchanging. I it's not about exactly anymore the possibility coaching Bridge House, but we are taking tea and talking together about what is happening in our life, and until anything else emerge as creation in that configuration of us five as team, or I don't know what else possible. Does that work for all of you? Is any resistance about that proposal of closing officially the website in a way that is clear for people outside?
That works for me. I've already gone through it and made changes that I think are in line with that, so that the story that people get when they come to the website, especially if they're coming for the first time, is this happened, this is how it was, this is how it went, it's over. And then the part that seems like alive right now is and the legends are still being shared and the consequences are still rippling. And this is something about that.
Yes, and if you want to create that space, reach out. I'm open to empower other people to create such project.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Christina also.
Yes, and I'm keeping my eye open for creating another possibility coaching Bridge House. It's not tomorrow, but maybe the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Maybe in Brazil. In Brazil. Love in Brazil. Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you,
I felt
team.
really nice being with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.